For a second, imagine opening a store one morning and finding one employee dead, while the other is tied up, blaming two masked men, but the evidence suggested those men never existed. So what really happened inside that store? Welcome to my another video, and I'm Miss Homicide. This story starts from a Friday night, March 11, 2011. The Lululemon store was located in one of the city's busy upscale shopping store. A clean, organized, athletic clothing store with an Apple store right next door sharing the same wall. And one of the employees working that night was Jayna Murray. But who is Jayna at all? Jayna was a 30-year-old woman and she had studied international marketing business. She had graduated from George Washington University. Also, she had plans to continue her education. She loved traveling, dancing, and animals, and basically, she was just a good character with a normal background, plus, everyone trusted her. The other employee working that night was a 28-year-old Brittany Norwood. She was originally from the Seattle area and had played soccer seriously for years. She'd been a successful high school athlete and later played for Stony Brook University, where she was known as a competitive defender and earned several athletic honors. And after college, she just moved into working life and eventually ended up at Bethesda, the Lululemon. At the end of the night, the store closed and both women left the building. So far, everything was normal here, and the shift was over, the store was empty, and everyone was heading home. But at 9:51 p.m., Brittany just called another coworker named Ayla Robb. She said she had left her wallet inside the store and she asked Ayla for Jayna's number. Then she called Jayna. She asked her to come back and let her inside. Then she just agreed, and honestly, it sounds reasonable because imagine it, your coworker just left her wallet behind and you drive back and the whole thing maybe takes 5 minutes, not more than that. So it's just nothing. Only a bit after 10 p.m., the employees inside the Apple store next door started hearing disturbing sound through the shared wall. They heard banging, screaming, heavy breathing, and two women's voices. One of the voices said, "Don't do this, talk to me, and what's wrong?" They heard another voice like, weaker, begging for help, like, "God, please help me." And after that, one of the employees asked a security guard to just check what was going on there. And even spoke to a manager, but nobody entered the Lululemon store and they just stood near the wall listening to the sounds for maybe about 9 minutes. Then everything went quiet, and after that one of the Owl's employee left shortly after 11 p.m. And let's just imagine this. Maybe they just thought it was an argument between employees, or maybe they just didn't understand how serious it was. The next morning before 8 a.m., the store manager, Rachel Earthley, arrived to just open the door, but the first thing she noticed was that the door was unlocked. And she figured another employee had arrived early and forgot to just lock the door behind them. But when she stepped inside, she just saw the lights were on, the merchandise had been moved around. And after that, she heard moaning coming from the back, and she immediately went outside and called 911. And one of the important part is here, a man named Ryan Hall was waiting outside the Apple store for it to open because the second generation of iPad had been released the day before. And Rachel asked Ryan to just come inside with her because she had no idea what was waiting in the back. And Ryan went ahead and found Jayna on the floor, but Jayna had no pulse. And a short distance away, he found Brittany on the floor. But Brittany was alive and her hands and feet were secured with zip ties. Her clothing was torn and she had visible injuries. Brittany was taken to the hospital where she gave police a detailed account of what had supposedly happened. She said after she and Jayna returned to the store, two masked men wearing black clothing and gloves came inside. One was shorter, the other was taller, and based on their voices, she believed they were white. According to Brittany, the men attacked Jayna, beat Brittany, sexually assaulted her, and tied her up. She claimed the attackers found receipts in her purse containing her name, her address, and threatened her that they could find her again later. And Brittany cried while describing the attack, and her family was genuinely terrified. One of the detectives even told them to report anything suspicious immediately. And to be honest, during the first days, police didn't see Brittany as a suspect at all, and they were treating her like a survivor or maybe someone who is traumatized. Then the crime scene started telling a very different story. The medical examination found no evidence supporting Brittany's claim that she had been sexually assaulted. Her injuries were also mostly superficial: cut on her forehead, scratches on her body and stomach, and an injury to her hand, and seemed consistent with long violent attacks she had described. And the investigators looked at footprints. They were men's shoe prints on blood-covered floor, and at first it seemed like a perfect evidence to show the attackers were real. But the police traced the prints, and they led to a pair of men's size 14 Reebok shoes. The weird part is here, they hadn't belonged to any attacker. Actually, they were already inside the store, kept for customers to wear while trying on clothes. In other words, someone had put on the store shoes and walked through the blood to create footprints and left the shoes behind. But where were the actual footprints of the two masked men who supposedly came in from the outside? And things got even stranger because 3 bags of money were gone and the items had been moved around. And Jayna's car had also been moved to a parking lot farther away. On March 16, detectives asked Brittany what kind of car Jayna drove, and she said she didn't know. Well, the interview ended and she went home with her family, but the next day, Brittany's brother and sister called police and said she missed out one important detail to tell them because she was scared of the attackers. Now we have a new version of Brittany's story. She said 2 men forced her to move Jayna's car alone, and they told her they were watching and would kill her if she tried to escape. And she even saw a police car, but she was scared to ask for help. And after that, she just parked Jayna's car and returned to the store. But according to her, 2 killers were still waiting. Well, just think about it for a second. 2 men supposedly let the only surviving witness leave alone, drive through the area, and even pass a police car. Instead of escaping, she went back to the store. But why? Brittany said they knew her address and she was terrified. But there was another problem. One day she said she didn't know what kind of car Jayna drove. Another day she said she had driven it herself. And every time the detective went over the story, a new detail appeared. And even Brittany said, well, we went over this already. And the detective replied, yes, but every time we do, something new comes out or the story changes. And that was exactly the problem. On March 18, detectives no longer saw Brittany as just a victim, and there was no evidence of 2 attackers. Also, the sexual assault claim wasn't supported and her injuries were mostly superficial. After Jayna died, someone stayed inside the store and staged a scene. The safe was open, the money was taken, the Jayna's car was moved, and the men's shoes were used to make bloody footprints. Brittany's clothes were torn and some small injuries were made up on her body, and her hands and feet were tied with zip ties. Whoever staged that scene wasn't just trying to get away, they wanted to be found in the next morning as the only survivor. And that same day, March 18, 2011, Brittany Norwood was arrested and charged with Jayna Mary's murder. After the arrest, the biggest question is simple: why? Well, at the end of every shift, the employees check each other's bag for unpaid items, and that night, Jayna apparently found a Lululemon item in Brittany's bag that hadn't been paid for, and she reported to the manager, and the problem supposed to be handled the next day. Actually, prosecutors believe that confrontation may have triggered the attack. Britney never admitted this is why she called her, but the timing was hard because the item was found, Jayna reported it, and the store was closed. And after that, Britney called Jayna back using wallet as an excuse. So, was it really a forgotten wallet, or was it just the easiest way to get Jayna back inside? The medical examiner found 331 injuries on Jayna's body, and 105 were defensive ones, which means she fought to stay alive. At least 5 different objects were used in the attack, including a wrench, a hammer, a merchandise display board, a box cutter, and a precision knife. And most of the injuries were made while Jayna was still alive. When the case went to trial in the fall of 2011, Britney's defense no longer denied that she had killed Jayna. Instead, they argued that it wasn't planned and that the sudden argument got it out of control and it shouldn't count as first degree murder. But come on, let's be honest. When the attack lasts that long, using several weapons from the different parts of a store, and is followed hours staging a fake crime scene, we can just call it a brief moment of anger. And overall, on November 2, 2011, after an 8-day trial, the jury found Britney Nerva guilty of first-degree murder. And on January 27, 2012, she was sentenced to life in prison without parole. And her appeal was later denied, and the conviction stayed in place. And Britney apologized to the Jayna's family in the court, but she never explained why that night went as far as it did. And now back to those size 14 shoes. They were supposed to prove the story of Britney look real, but on the contrary, they became one of the clearest signs that the scene had been staged. Because a real attacker doesn't take the shoes from inside the store, walk through blood, and just leave them behind. I mean, it's just really obvious. So here we are, and I hope you like this case. I want to know what you think about it, so share your opinion with me. And if you want more cases like this, well, don't forget to just subscribe my YouTube channel. And I'm Miss Homicide.